Hello and welcome to the channel. Whose horse was it? This is a very interesting story. It centers around a dispute between a young man and a beggar over a horse. The beggar falsely claims the horse is his, but through a clever test, the young man proves that the beggar is lying. The story highlights themes of honesty, justice, and cleverness. Whose horse was it? In this story, a young man is traveling to town on his horse when he encounters a beggar at the town gate. The beggar, who is lame, asks the young man for help and requests a ride to the market. The kind young man agrees, putting the beggar on the horse and riding with him to the market. However, upon reaching the market, the beggar refuses to get off the horse, claiming it is his. The young man insists that the horse belongs to him and threatens to take the beggar to the king's officer. At the officer's office, both the young man and the beggar tell their sides of the story. The beggar falsely claims that the horse is his, while the young man asks the officer for a chance to ask the beggar a question. The young man covers the horse's eyes and his turban and asks the beggar to identify which eye of the horse is blind. The beggar, unsure, gives conflicting answers. The young man then reveals that the horse is not blind at all. The officer realizes that the beggar is lying and orders his arrest. The story ends with the beggar being caught for his dishonesty and the young man regains his horse. The story illustrates the importance of truth and cleverness in resolving conflicts. Now, in details. One day, a young man was riding his horse to town. As he approached the town gate, he saw a beggar sitting there. The beggar called out to the young man and asked for help, saying, "Sir, I am lame. Please take me to the market on your horse." The young man, being kind-hearted, agreed and let the beggar ride with him to the market. When they reached the market, the young man told the beggar that he could get off the horse now, but the beggar refused. He said, "I don't want to get off. You get off my horse. I want to continue riding." The young man was confused and said, "Your horse? This is my horse." The beggar insisted, "No, this is my horse." The young man got angry and said, "If this is your horse, then I will take you to the king's officer." So they both went to the king's officer, who was responsible for solving disputes. The young man explained to the officer, "Sir, I was riding my horse to the town and this beggar asked for a ride because he is lame. I helped him, but now he says the horse is his. Please help me get my horse back." The beggar replied, "This man is a liar. The horse is mine. I am lame and I can't walk, so I bought this horse to help me move around." The officer could not decide who was telling the truth. He didn't know whose horse it was. So the young man asked the officer, "Sir, may I ask him a question?" The officer agreed, and the young man took off his turban and quickly covered the horse's eyes and the turban with the turban and asked the beggar, "You say this is your horse? You know your horse well. Can you tell me which of its eyes is blind, the left or the right?" The beggar hesitated and said, "The right one." Then he changed his answer and said, "No, It's the left eye. The young man turned to the officer and said, Sir, my horse doesn't have a blind eye. It can see clearly. The officer then uncovered the horse's eyes and saw that the horse was not blind at all. The officer immediately understood that the beggar was lying. He told the beggar, You are a thief. You are lying about the horse. Come with me, I will put you in prison. The young man got his horse back, and the beggar was arrested for his dishonesty. This story teaches us about the importance of truthfulness and how clever thinking can help solve problems. Hello and welcome to the channel. A Wise King. This is a beautiful story of wisdom and justice. King Bikram's judgment is both clever and compassionate. By threatening to split the baby, he was able to reveal the true mother based on her emotional reaction. Only the real mother would want to save the child's life, even at the cost of giving him up. It's a great lesson in the importance of wisdom in decision making and the power of empathy in understanding people's true intentions. King Bikram was a wise ruler. One day, two women, Sita and Lakshmi, came to him claiming to be the mother of the same baby. To determine the real mother, the king ordered the baby to be cut in two, with each woman receiving half. Sita immediately cried and begged for the baby's life, asking that the child be given to Lakshmi instead. Seeing this, the king understood that Sita was the real mother, as she was willing to sacrifice her claim to save the baby. He gave the baby to Sita and punished Lakshmi for her deceit. Sita requested that her sister not be punished, and the woman left happily. Now in details. Once upon a time there was a wise king named Bikram. One day, two women, Sita and Lakshmi, came to him with a baby, each claiming to be its mother. The king listened to both women, but he could not decide who the real mother was. To find out the truth, he thought of a clever plan. King Bikram ordered his servant to bring a sword. He then told the woman that he would cut the baby into two equal parts and give one half to each of them. Both women claimed to be the baby's mother, and the king's suggestion seemed to be a fair way to resolve the dispute. However, when the king made his command, Sita immediately began to cry. She begged the king not to kill the baby, asking him to give the child to Lakshmi, but to let him live. Lakshmi, on the other hand, showed no sign of concern about the baby's life, only insisting that the baby could be given to her. Seeing Sita's reaction, King Bikram realized that she was the real mother. A real mother would never want to see her child harmed, even if it meant losing her claim to the baby. The king then ordered that the baby be given to Sita, as she was clearly the true mother. The king also told Lakshmi that she was a liar and would be punished for her deceit. But Sita, showing kindness and compassion, asked the king not to punish her sister. The king, admiring Sita's generosity, decided not to punish Lakshmi. In the end, the women left the king's court with Sita happily reunited with her child, and the king's wisdom in resolving the dispute was praised. Hello and welcome to the channel. Math Magic. The story revolves around a young man in an Arab land who is skilled in counting birds, which catches the attention of a man riding a camel. The man is impressed and takes the young man on his camel, promising him a job with the king. On their way, they encounter three brothers who are arguing over how to divide their late father's 35 camels, according to his will, half to the eldest son, one third to the second son, and 1/9 to the youngest son. The problem arises because dividing 35 camels as per the will doesn't work out perfectly. The young man solves the problem by adding his own camel to the herd, making the total number of camels 36. This allows the eldest son to receive 18 camels, the second son 12 camels, and the youngest son 4 camels, all of which satisfy the conditions of the will. The three brothers are happy because they receive the camels they are promised. But the young man, who has no camel of his own, also gets a camel as part of the solution. In the end, the three brothers get 34 camels in total, while the young man gains one camel without owning any originally. The story emphasizes the power of mathematics to solve practical problems and concludes with the young man continuing his journey to the king's palace. Now in details. The story begins with a young man living in an Arab land, sitting on a sand hill and counting birds flying in the sky. He carefully writes down the numbers in the sand. The man riding a camel passes by and notices this unusual activity. He is surprised to see that the boy is able to count the number of birds flying in large groups accurately. Curious, the man stops and asks the boy how he is able to do this. The young man replies that he worked as a shepherd for a rich man and learned to count sheep every day, which helped him become skilled in counting. Impressed by the boy's activity or ability, the man offers him a job and invites him to come with him. The boy accepts the offer and the two set off on their journey. As they travel, they encounter three brothers who are quarreling. The brothers are trying to figure out how to divide their father's 35 camels according to his will. The father's will specifies that the eldest son should receive half of the camels, and the second son should receive one third of the youngest son should receive 1/9. However, dividing 35 camels according to these fractions doesn't work out perfectly. The young man listens to the brother's argument and calmly declares, "It is very easy." He then suggests adding the camel they are riding on to the herd of 35, making the total number of camels 36. This way, the camels can be divided according to the father's will. The eldest son receives half of 36, which is 18 camels. Second son gets one third of 36, which is 12. Youngest son receives 1/9 of 36, which is 4 camels. All three brothers are happy because they receive exactly what was promised to them in the will, even though the amounts are slightly off when using 35 camels. However, the situation has another twist. The total number of camels, that is 36, is reduced by 34 camels, that is 18 plus 12 plus 4, leaving the young man with one camel. The young man who had no camels of his own is now the happiest of all, because he not only solved the problem but also received one camel as part of the solution. In the end, the three brothers are happy with their share of camels, but the young man gains the most, both in terms of the solution to the problem and the camel he receives. The story highlights the magic of mathematics, as the young man's knowledge of math helped solve a difficult problem in a creative and practical way. The two Arabs, the young man and the camel rider, continue their journey to the king's palace, where the young man is likely to be rewarded for his intelligence with a job. The lesson from this story is that mathematical thinking can solve real world problems in unexpected ways, as demonstrated by the young man's clever solution to dividing the camels. Hello and welcome to the channel. Six Wise Men. This is an interesting story. It highlights the irony of how even wise men can make a simple mistake, like miscounting, while the illiterate villager uses a simple yet effective method to solve the problem. The story shows that wisdom is not always about intellect but also about practical thinking and clarity. The wise man, despite being learned, failed to count properly, while the villager, with his practical approach, solved the problem instantly. It's a reminder that sometimes even the most intelligent people can overlook the simplest solutions. Now, in details. Six wise men embarked on a journey together, and as they traveled, they encountered a deep river. There was no boat available, so they decided to swim across. Once they had successfully crossed the river, one of the wise men asked if everyone had made it safely. To ensure no one was missing, the group began counting each other. The first wise man counted and declared 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and exclaimed that one of them was missing. He believed there were only 5 men on the bank. The second wise man repeated the count, confirming the same result. Only 5 men were present. This confusion continued as the third and fourth men also counted, and they all concluded that one of them had drowned in the river. Grief stricken and upset, they began to mourn their lost companion. The leader of the wise men suggested that the journey had been unfortunate from the start and that they should turn back home since they had lost one of their own. The rest of the group agreed, and they swam back across the river. On reaching the original bank, the poor illiterate man from their village saw them and asked why they are not continuing their journey. The wise men explained that they had lost one of their friends in the river and would return home. The villager, curious, asked who they had lost, but the wise men couldn't tell him, as they had only counted 5 men instead of 6. The villager, seeing their mistake, decided to help. He asked them to stand in a line so he could count them. The villager went up to each man, tapping them on the head while counting aloud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He said, proving that they were actually 6 men, not 5. The wise men were astonished and relieved. to find that they were all present. The leader of the wise men, embarrassed but grateful, acknowledged the villager's wisdom. He thanked the villager for helping them realize their mistake and said that they could now continue their journey. Moral of the story: the story highlights that even wise people can make simple mistakes when they overlook the basics. While the wise men were learned and experienced, they failed to count properly, whereas the illiterate villager used a simple practical approach to solve the problem. It serves as a reminder that practical wisdom and common sense are just as valuable as intellectual knowledge. Hello and welcome to the channel. The missing ring. Akbar the emperor had many rings, but his favorite one was a large ring with pearls and diamonds that had been a gift from the queen. 8 servants were responsible for looking after the emperor's clothes and jewelry, and only they could enter his room. One day, Akbar asked his servant to bring his favorite ring, but when the servant returned, he reported that the ring was missing. Despite a thorough search, the ring could not be found. Akbar became angry, suspecting one of the servants had stolen it, and asked Birbal to find the thief. The next day, Birbal gave each of the 8 servants a short stick and told them that the thief's stick would grow by the length of a finger during the night. The next morning, Birbal carefully examined the sticks and noticed one servant's stick was shorter than the others. This servant had believed Birbal's trick and had cut his stick to avoid detection. Birbal took this man to Akbar, where the thief confessed and was punished. Now, in details. The story revolves around Emperor Akbar and his trusted minister Birbal. Akbar was known for his fondness for jewelry, and among all the rings he owned, there was one that he cherished the most. It was a large and magnificent ring, encrusted with pearls and diamonds, which had been a gift from the queen. This particular ring was dear to him, and he loved wearing it every day. Akbar had a group of 8 servants who were responsible for taking care of his clothes and jewelry. Each day, one of these 8 servants would assist him in getting ready for court, but none of the other servants were allowed to enter his room. This restriction was put in place to ensure the safety of his personal belongings. One day, as Akbar was getting ready to go to court, he asked one of the servants to fetch his favorite ring. However, when the servant returned, he reported that the ring was missing. Akbar, distressed by the news, ordered an immediate search of his room, but despite their efforts, the ring could not be found. Feeling suspicious and angry, Akbar believed that one of his servants must have stolen the ring. He immediately sent for Birbal to help him solve the mystery. Birbal, known for his wisdom and cleverness, arrived at the palace and listened to Akbar's account of the missing ring. Akbar asked Birbal to investigate and find the thief. The following day, Birbal called all 8 servants who were responsible for Akbar's jewelry and gave each of them a short stick. He instructed them to return to him the next day, warning them that one of them had stolen the emperor's ring and that the thief's stick would grow longer by the length of a finger overnight. This was a clever trick to identify the thief. The next morning, the 8 servants returned to Birbal with their sticks. Birbal instructed them to stand in a line and he carefully examined each stick. He noticed that one of the sticks was shorter than the others. Birbal immediately seized the man holding the shorter stick and took him to Akbar. The man, realizing he had been caught, confessed to stealing the ring. He admitted that he had caught his stick in an attempt to avoid detection. Believing that Birbal's trick about the stick growing longer was true, Birbal's keen observation had revealed the truth and the thief was punished by Akbar. This story highlights Birbal's sharp intelligence and his ability to outwit even the most cunning individuals. His quick thinking and clever strategy helped Akbar find the stolen ring and bring the thief to justice. Hello and welcome to the channel. Finding the thief. In the story Finding the Thief, an old man helps a hotel manager solve the mystery of missing money. The manager explains that one of 5 men staying at the hotel claims his money has been stolen, but no one has left the room. The old man asks for a cock and a pot, and he turns the pot upside down over the cock while making the room dark. He then instructs everyone to rob the pot as they pass by. The cock doesn't crow, and after lighting the lamps again, the old man inspects everyone's hands. Only one man's hands remain clean, as the other's hands are blackened from rubbing the soot-covered pot. The old man identifies the thief by his clean hands and the thief is caught. Now in details. In the story Finding the Thief, an old man arrives at a small hotel in a village and has dinner before going to bed. Later that night, the hotel manager wakes him up and asks for his help. The manager explains that one of the 5 men who stayed at the hotel is claiming that his money has been stolen, but no one has left the room since then. The manager trusts the old man and asks him to figure out who the thief is. The old man asks the manager to bring a cock, means a rooster, and a big pot. The men are curious about what the old man will do with these items. The old man places the cock on a table, covers it with the pot, and locks the door, putting the keys in his pocket. He tells everyone to turn off the lights and make the room dark. Then he asks each of the men to line up and rob the pot as they pass it. He tells them that the cock will crow 3 times when the thief robs the pot. All the men pass by the pot and rob it, but the cock doesn't crow. The old man then asks if anyone hasn't robbed the pot. When no one answers, he tells them to light the lamps again, and the room is bright once more. The old man then asks the men to line up again and hold their hands up. He carefully looks at their hands and sees that All the man's hands are black from the shoot of the bottom of the pot except for one man. This man's hands are clean. The old man points to the man with clean hands and reveals that he is the thief. The man is caught and the money is recovered. Hello and welcome to the channel. The Thief and the Tiger. Once upon a time, a king was known for his strong and swift horses, which he kept in his stable. The thief decided to steal one of these horses. However, a tiger learned about the thief's plan and decided to hide in the stable, planning to eat the thief. The thief, unaware, touched the tiger's back in the dark and mistook it for the best horse. He put a bridle on it and rode out of the stable. The tiger, terrified of the thief, started running at full speed. The thief, unable to see in the darkness, did not realize he was riding a tiger. When the morning light came, the thief saw the tiger and panicked. In his fear, he climbed a tree for safety, and the tiger, relieved to be free of the thief, ran into the forest. Later, the thief rested under a tree, exhausted and frightened. A wolf came by, mistaking the thief for a dead man, and planned to eat him. The wolf sought help from the tiger, asking it to help drag the dead body in exchange for half of the meal. The tiger, still cautious after the previous experience, agreed but asked the wolf not to cheat it. The wolf and the tiger tied themselves together with a rope to drag the thief's body. As they approached, the thief woke up and, seeing the tiger, yelled out in fear. The tiger, frightened, ran away with the wolf in tow, killing the poor wolf in the process. From that day onward, the tiger promised never to seek human flesh again, and the thief, grateful for his life, and gave up his life of crime. Now in details. Once there was a king known far and wide for his strong and swift horses. The king kept only the best horses in his stable, ensuring that they were well taken care of. One night, a thief decided to steal one of the king's prized horses. However, unbeknownst to the thief, a tiger in the nearby area learned of his plan. The tiger, eager for a meal, thought it could take advantage of the situation by not only preventing the theft but also eating the thief. The tiger stealthily entered the king's stable that night and hid among the horses, blending in with them as though it were one of the horses. The thief, unaware of the tiger's presence, entered the stable under the cover of darkness. As he tried to select the best horse to steal, he touched the back of each one, finally settling on what he thought was the best horse, the tiger. He led the tiger out of the stable and, thinking it was a horse, put a bridle on its mouth and rode on its back. The tiger, which had never experienced anything like this before, was terrified. It believed the thief to be a very powerful being. The fear the tiger felt caused it to run at full speed, racing away from the stable. The thief, also unaware that he was riding a tiger, thought he had chosen the fastest horse. The darkness of the night prevented him from seeing the true nature of the creature beneath him. When dawn broke and the sunlight illuminated the surroundings, the thief finally realized with horror that he was riding a tiger. Terrified, he was unable to think clearly about what to do. As the tiger ran, the thief nearly fainted from fear. In his panic, the tiger passed beneath a tree, and the thief, desperate to save himself, grabbed a branch and climbed up to safety. The tiger, relieved to be rid of the thief, continued running into the forest, no longer fearing the thief's hold. After a while, the thief, still shaken, rested under the tree. He was exhausted and terrified from his experience and eventually fell into a deep sleep. A wolf passing by came across the thief's unconscious form and, mistaking him for a dead man, thought it had found an easy meal. The wolf said to itself, "What luck! This dead body will provide me with food for over a week." However, the wolf realized it would need help dragging the heavy body away. The wolf then encountered the same tiger in the forest and proposed a deal. "Mr. Tiger," the wolf said, "will you help me drag this dead body? I will share half of it with you." The tiger, having learned to be wary after its previous encounter with the thief, was suspicious of the wolf's intentions. It asked, "Aren't you going to run away and leave me alone once we start? Won't you cheat me?" The wolf reassured the tiger, suggesting, "Let's tie ourselves together with a rope to prevent any deception." Trusting the wolf's proposal, the tiger agreed and the two animals tied themselves together with a rope. They approached the thief, still lying beneath the tree. As the wolf and the tiger drew closer, the thief awoke and, in his fear, yelled out, "What, a tiger? You have come again?" The tiger, startled by the thief's cry, panicked and ran off as fast as it could, dragging the wolf along with it. The poor wolf, unable to escape, was killed in the process. Aftermath of the event, the tiger, having realized the danger of desiring human flesh, promised never to harm a human again. The thief, having narrowly escaped death and realizing how close he had come to his end, also decided to give up his life of crime. From that day forward, both the tiger and the thief learned valuable lessons. The tiger about avoiding humans, and the thief about the consequences of his actions. Hello and welcome to the channel. The Liger on a Tiger. In the story The Liger on a Tiger, a man loses his fowl and ends up in a forest, where he finds an old woman's hut. The woman warns her granddaughter not to go out because a tiger, or a liger means a fictional animal, could catch her. The tiger overhears this and becomes terrified, thinking the liger is more dangerous than he is. The man, mistaking the tiger for his foal in the darkness, jumps on its back, and frightened tiger runs away, thinking he is being attacked by the liger. When the tiger takes a rest under a banyan tree, the man climbs up to safety. The tiger, still scared, calls other tigers, telling them he was almost caught by the liger and offering tributes to avoid being caught again. The man hiding in the tree is terrified by the gathering of tigers. The tigers, seeing the dangling cloth from the tree, mistakenly think it's a liger's tail and flee in fear, thinking the liger will catch them. The thief ends with both the man and the tigers escaping danger, with the tiger and the man both thinking they have been saved from death. In the story The Liger on a Tiger, a man loses his foal and goes into a forest to search for it. After searching for a long time, he gets tired and realizes he has lost his way. It is already late at night and he can't go back home. He spots a hut belonging to an old woman. The man asks her for shelter and she lets him rest in her storeroom. The old woman lives in one room with her granddaughter, and the other room is used for storing things. The girl has heard a bit about a baby horse and wants to hear the man's story, but her grandmother warns her not to go out because a tiger or a liger, means a made up animal, fictional animal, might catch her. The tiger, who comes every night behind the woman's hut, overhears the mention of the liger and becomes scared. He thinks the liger is a more dangerous animal than him, or maybe even a ghost or a demon. The tiger gets worried and starts looking for a way to escape. Later, the man comes out of the hut to see if it is dawn yet. He sees something in the dark and thinks it is his foal. He rushes towards it, covers its eyes, head, and throat with his cloth, and jumps onto its back. The tiger, thinking the man is a liger, gets terrified and runs for its life. When morning comes, the man realizes he is riding on a tiger's back and doesn't know what to do. As the tiger runs, they pass under a banyan tree, and the man grabs a branch and climbs it, thinking he has been saved. The tiger, still scared, sits under the tree and calls out to other tigers for help. When the other tigers arrive, they ask what happened. The tiger tells them he was caught by a liger and promised to give offerings to avoid being caught again. The other tigers, scared, begin offering buffaloes and antelopes to the liger to keep him away. The man is hiding in the tree and is frightened to see all the tigers. He shakes with fear, and the tree shakes too. The tigers, looking up, can't see the man clearly because he is hidden behind the leaves. However, they notice the man's cloth dangling from the tree branch, and they mistake it for a liger's tail. One old tiger says that it must be the liger, and all those tigers start running away, thinking the liger will catch them. In the end, both the man and the tiger escape danger, with the man hiding in the tree and the tiger believing he has been saved from the liger. Hello and welcome to the channel. A wise grandmother. In ancient Japan, Taro, a young farmer, lived with his wise and loving grandmother. The village faced a severe drought, leading to a scarcity of food. The village headman decided that all elderly people above 60 should leave for the mountain village to make room for younger, stronger workers. However, Taro could not part with his grandmother, so he secretly kept her hidden in an underground room, ensuring she had food and care. Soon, a warlord sent three riddles to the village, threatening to take half the land unless they were answered correctly. If they succeeded, he promised food for everyone. Taro shared the riddles with his grandmother, who solved them all. The first riddle about a log, and the second about making a rope of ashes, and the third about passing a silk thread through a crooked pipe. Taro, thrilled by his grandmother's wisdom, presented the answers to the village headman, who confirmed their correctness. The headman, ashamed of his earlier decision to send away the elderly, honored Taro and his grandmother in front of the villagers, offering gifts. He realized the value of the elderly and called the older villagers back to live in comfort. Soon after, the rains came, filling the wells and enriching the land, thanks to the wisdom of Taro's grandmother. In a small village in Japan, a young farmer named Taro lived with his old grandmother. Taro was very close to her and took good care of her. Like many other villagers, he grew rice, wheat, and vegetables. He lived a peaceful life, but things changed when there was no rainfall for a long time. The fields dried up and there was no water in the wells. As a result, food became very scarce, and the villagers were worried that they would soon run out of food. The village headman called a meeting to discuss the situation. He suggested that the young people should stay in the village to help improve things, while the elderly, who were over 60, should leave for the mountain village where food was easier to find. This way, there would be enough food for the younger villagers to survive. Sadly, all the elderly people had to leave the village. Taro, however, could not bear to send his grandmother away. Instead, he secretly hid her in an underground room in his house, where he took care of her and made sure she had enough food. A few weeks later, the village headman received a notice from a warlord who lived in a neighboring town. The warlord threatened to take away half of the village land unless they answered three riddles correctly. If they answered all the riddles, the warlord promised to give the village all the food they needed. Taro rushed home and told his grandmother about the riddles. He hoped she could help answer them, so the headman would allow her to stay in the village. The first riddle was, which part of a log is close to the top and which part is closer to the root? After thinking for a while, the grandmother answered that the part closer to the root would sink if the log was floated in water, while the top part would float. Taro was happy with the answer and asked the second riddle. How can you make a rope of ashes? The grandmother thought hard and replied, take a strong rope and pour salt on it, light one end of it, and it will burn slowly, leaving ashes behind. Taro was amazed and asked the third riddle. How can you pass a silk thread through a crooked pipe? The grandmother laughed and said, tie the leg of an ant to the thread and put some honey on the other of the pipe. The ant will crawl through to get the honey no matter how crooked the pipe is. Taro was excited and rushed to the village headman with the answers. The headman was impressed and confirmed that all the answers were correct. Taro humbly told the headman that it was his grandmother who had solved the riddles. The headman, realizing that he had been wrong about the elderly, felt ashamed for sending them away. He thanked Taro and rewarded him with his grandmother with gifts. In front of the villagers, the headman honored the grandmother for his wisdom, which had saved the village. The headman offered the elderly people to be brought back to the village. They were treated with respect and care. Soon after, it began to rain and the wells filled up. The land became fertile again thanks to the wisdom of Taro's grandmother. The village returned to its peaceful and happy life. Hello and welcome to the channel. The Land Without Old Men. In the story The Land Without Old Men, a young king orders the killing of all people over 50, believing their wisdom is no longer needed. However, one compassionate young man hides his elderly father. When a drought causes severe trouble and the young people can't grow crops, then the old man advises his son to plow the lane in front of their house. Miraculously, crops begin to grow without any seeds being planted. The king learns of this and calls the boy and his father to inquire how it happened. The old man explains that seeds naturally fall from carts and carrying corn. The old man is rewarded by the king, and from then on, the value of old people's wisdom is respected. Now, in details. In a cold country, long ago, the young people decided that the old people should be killed because they no longer served a purpose. The king, who was young, agreed with this idea and ordered that anyone over 50 be killed. Many wise old people were killed and much wisdom was lost. However, one young man loved his father and couldn't bear to let him die. He hid his father in an underground room and took care of him. Time passed and a terrible drought affected the land. The young people tried to solve their problems but couldn't. When the snow melted and spring came, they had no seeds to plant in the ground. The old man, noticing his son's sadness, asked him what was wrong. The son explained his troubles, and the old man gave him advice. When the last snow melts, plow the lane in front of your house. The son did as told, and to everyone's surprise, crops like wheat, maize, oats, barley, and even beans grew in the plowed lane without any seeds being planted. The news spread, and the king heard about it. He immediately ordered the boy to be brought before him. The boy explained what had happened, and the king asked for the old man to be brought as well. The old man explained that many seeds fall on the ground when people carry corn in carts, and that's how the crops grew. The king was impressed and rewarded the old man for saving the nation. From that day on, people learned to respect the wisdom of old people. Hello and welcome to the channel. The Stone Cutter. This is a Japanese folk tale about Kalu, a poor stone cutter. One day, feeling lazy, Kalu wished to be rich, and an angel made him wealthy. Enjoying his newfound riches, Kalu then desired to be a king, and the angel granted this wish. However, as a king, Kalu encountered the burning sun, which made him wish to become the sun. When he was turned into the sun, he burned everything, including kings and stonecutters, but soon became frustrated by the strength of cloud that blocked his rays. Wishing to be the cloud, Kalu was transformed and caused rain to pour, making people stay inside and preventing the sun from shining. Despite the power of the cloud, Kalu eventually saw a rock that did not move when rained on. Wanting to become that strong, unmovable rock, he was transformed. But when a man with an axe began to cut the rock, Kalu realized that even the rock could be controlled. He then wished to return to his original form, and the angel turned him back into the stonecutter. Though he was poor again, Kalu was content as he found happiness in his simple life. Now, in details. The story is a Japanese folk tale about a poor stonecutter named Kalu, who is dissatisfied with his life. One hot day, Kalu is tired and doesn't feel like working. So he sets down his axe and begins to wish for a different life. He expresses a desire to become rich, and to his surprise, an angel appears and grants him a wish. Kalu is instantly transformed into a rich man, and he spends his days indulging in food and drink. Although he is now rich, Kalu is still not satisfied with his life. One day, while walking around his wealthy estate, Kalu sees a king being greeted by everyone with respect, with people bowing before him. Kalu is envious of the king's power and status. He says to himself, "Money isn't enough. I want to be a king." As if answering his wish, the angel appears again and turns Kalu into a king. Now everyone bows to him, and Kalu feels happy for a time. However, during a royal procession, Kalu is troubled by the scorching heat of the sun. The sun's intense heat makes Kalu uncomfortable, so he wishes to become the sun itself. The angel transforms Kalu into the sun. As the sun, Kalu burns everything in sight, burning the faces of kings, the rich, and even the stonecutters who are working below. He feels powerful and enjoys his new form. However, as the days pass, Kalu notices a cloud that seems to block his rays and shield the earth. He becomes frustrated because Despite being the sun, he can't reach the earth below because of the cloud. The cloud is stronger than him. And Kalu, now envious of the cloud's power, wishes to become the cloud. The angel grants Kalu's wish, and he is transformed into a cloud. As a cloud, Kalu rains heavily on the earth, preventing people from going outside. The sun no longer shines, and Kalu feels triumphant in his newfound strength, thinking he is more powerful than the sun. The rain causes floods and everything. People, grass, trees gets washed away. But after a while, Kalu realizes that there is something stronger than him. A rock. While the rain falls on it, the rock remains unmoved, unaffected by the storm. Kalu then wishes to become a rock, hoping to be as strong and unchanging as the stone. Once again, the angel grants Kalu's wish, and he is turned into a rock. Initially, Kalu is satisfied with his new form, as he is no longer moved by anything. However, his satisfaction is short-lived. One day, a man with an axe comes and begins to chip away at the rock, cutting pieces of stone from it. Kalu, now realizing that even a rock can be controlled and changed, becomes disillusioned. He wishes once more to return to his original form as a stone cutter. The angel appears for the last time and grants Kalu his final wish, turning him back into a stone cutter. Though he is poor, once again, Kalu is content and happy. He realizes that his earlier desires for wealth, power, and control were misguided. And the true happiness comes from being content with what you have and accepting yourself as you are. In the conclusion, The Stone Cutter is a folk tale that illustrates how one's desires can lead them through many forms and experiences. But ultimately, happiness is found by being content with who you are and accepting your lot in life. Hello and welcome to the channel Punar Mushika Bhava. The story Punar Mushika Bhava is about a rishi who lived a solitary life, spending his time in meditation and prayer. One day, a rat entered his cave, and the rishi developed a friendship with it. However, when a wild cat appeared, the rat asked the rishi to turn it into a cat for protection. The rishi granted the wish, and the cat and the rishi lived happily together. But soon a jackal arrived, and the cat turned into a jackal for safety. The jackal enjoyed its role as the rishi's guard. When a tiger appeared, the jackal asked to be turned into a tiger. However, the tiger became aggressive and sought to kill the rishi. To protect himself, the rishi reverted the tiger back into the rat with the words Punar Mushika Bhava, means be a mouse again. The story highlights the changing desires of the creatures and the Rishi's compassion, as well as the importance of balance and contentment. The story Punarmushika Bhava revolves around a rishi, means a sage, who lived a solitary life in a forest, relying solely on fruits for sustenance. He spent his time in prayer and meditation, avoiding contact with both humans and animals. Despite his isolation, the rishi formed an unlikely friendship with a rat that entered his cave. While the rishi was in meditation, the rat would play pranks by nibbling on fruits, climbing over him, and causing mischief. However, the rishi did not mind and even found joy in the rat's playful behavior, developing a strong bond of friendship with the animal. As time passed, a wild cat came to live nearby, and the rat became afraid of being killed by it. Seeking protection, the rat requested the rishi to turn it into a cat. The rishi granted the request with the words Tathastu, means let it be so, and the rat was transformed into a cat. The cat and the rishi enjoyed their time together, with the cat often joining the rishi during meditation and sitting on his lap. The rishi, who had become fond of the cat's presence, found it more enjoyable than the rat's company. However, the peace of the cat was disrupted when a jackal appeared in the area. The cat, once again fearing for its life, approached the rishi with the request to be transformed into a jackal to protect itself from the threat. The rishi granted this wish, and the cat turned into a jackal. The jackal became a protector of the rishi, guarding his cave and preventing smaller creatures from entering. The rishi enjoyed the jackal's presence and its hoo calls, as they helped him distinguish between morning and evening, something he had not been able to do in the time of the rat and cat. But soon a tiger appeared, posing a new danger to the jackal. Once again, the jackal, afraid for its life, asked the rishi to transform it into a tiger for safety. The rishi agreed, and the jackal became a tiger. However, the transformation changed the jackal's nature, and the tiger immediately began to feel the urge to attack the rishi. In a moment of danger, the rishi uttered the words Punarmushika Bhava, means be a mouse again, reversing the transformation and turning the tiger back into a rat. The story ends with the rishi once again leaving the company of the rat, having learned that the cycle of the desires for more power or strength had led to destruction. The rishi's decision to turn the tiger back into a rat symbolizes the need for contentment and balance in life and the dangers of unchecked ambition or desires. Hello and welcome to the channel. Gopi made them fools. In the story, Gopi made them fools. Once upon a time, there lived three brothers in Kathiawada who had extraordinary vision. The youngest brother could see through a purse, and the second could see inside a hen, and the oldest could see through 7 walls, even in the dark. The king of Kathiawada, impressed by their abilities, appointed them as royal guards, confident that no one could steal from the palace. Many people tried to fool the guards, but none succeeded. They came in various disguises, but the guards could see through all of them. As a result, the three brothers became famous and arrogant. They began to behave rudely, becoming proud and cruel. The clever boy named Gopi decided to teach the guards a lesson. Gopi, a classmate of the prince, visited the palace every day with a cart full of useless items such as dry leaves, grass, sand, old tin cans, and plastic bottles. The brothers, using their powerful eyes, found nothing of interest and allowed Gopi to pass, writing in the guard's book that he was carrying these harmless items. After a month, Gopi went to the king and proudly revealed how he had fooled the guards by carrying the valuable carts from the palace past them. The king was impressed and went to Gopi's house, where he saw the stolen carts. Pleased with Gopi's cleverness, the king awarded him a gold medal. Meanwhile, the three brothers were ashamed of their behavior and became kinder and more humble afterwards. Hello and welcome to the channel. The magic picture. In the story, the magic picture, Buddhiram, a proud man known for boasting about his wealth and possessions, was disliked by villagers, who nicknamed him Buddhuram. One day, Kittu decided to play a trick on him. He claimed to have special paintings from Delhi that were unlike anything Buddhiram had seen. Intrigued, Buddhiram visited Kittu to see the paintings. The first painting depicted a girl crossing a bridge in the rain with an open umbrella. Kittu assured Buddhiram that the painting was magical and would change with the weather. After some tea, when they returned to the painting, the umbrella was closed and the weather was sunny. Buddhiram was amazed and decided to buy the painting for 2,000 rupees, paying half upfront. However, when he tried to show the villagers the magic of the painting by adding water to make the umbrella open, nothing happened. The villagers laughed at him and Buddhiram angrily rushed back to Kittu. Kittu explained that Buddhiram had only bought one of the two paintings. The second painting showed the scene with the umbrella open in the rain. Kittu offered to sell the second painting for another 1,000 rupees but Buddhiram refused. From that day, Buddhiram stopped boasting about his possessions, learning a valuable lesson about humility and the cleverness of others.